¿Qué cerveza vas a tomar?
Yo,
Sí.
the only one working on this restaurant right now is Corona. They don't
Sí.
have Coña, which is the Nicaraguan one, because I asked for a water and everything is hot except Corona, which is the only thing cold in this place. I don't even know the name of the restaurant. I've never been here. We just stopped the first one. So it's different.
That's good. Good.
My recommendation is the Flaming Moe's next to Don Vito Hotel.
Yes, Don Vito. Oh, great place.
I have a feeling wherever Rafael is, he's going to have a good time.
Oh, there you are. Look at him. How are you?
How are you, Ryan? Rafael?
Look at the artist. Oh, my God. It's great to see you, my friend. No, ordena. No, ordena. No te preocupes.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, world. Welcome to the Light 'em Up Lounge. Thank you one and all for joining us yet again here Wednesday, 2 p.m. on the East Coast, 8 p.m. here Central European time. And we're back with another wonderful live show. And today we have Rafael Nodal joining us. I'm very, very happy and excited to welcome back Rafael after I want to say it's been a few years since we had you.
It's been a few years. I think the middle of the pandemic perhaps was the last time. Yes,
absolutely, man. It feels like yesterday though, and I'm so excited and so happy to see you again, to spend time with you, to have you joining us, and to talk a little bit about all the exciting news in your life, in the company, regarding your work, the industry. We're just a few days, literally, before the trade show in Las Vegas. So there's plenty of stuff happening in the cigar world in general. Thankfully, I made it back in one piece from my US trip as well, despite plaster cast and all other hurdles. I'm back safely. And Rafael, you had a bit of a trip as well. You just told us that you had quite a little detour into Esteli and you just crashed a restaurant to join us. So thanks for that, man.
No, thank you, Reinhard, for having me here. Thank you, everybody that is joining. I see some good friends here as well. And actually, another friend texted me, but I couldn't respond. Tom Sullivan. Oh, I'll see you on at the show. No, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. You know, I'm in the Esteli, Nicaragua. Was at the farm since really early this morning. And on the way back, there was a little accident on the street, on the road. A bus full of people hit a cow. And so I guess tonight, a lot of people are going to have free meat tonight, probably somewhere. I think they were waiting to move the cow out of the street, and it was just the bad. It's only one road. We were near Condega, and which is about 40 minutes from Esteli on the way to Honduras. And the connections to the internet is very difficult here. I was able to do voice, but no video. And so we stopped in a first restaurant in the entrance to the Esteli, and which I've never been. And they were very nice to connect me to the internet, which first they told me they don't have any internet, but then, you know, the guy saw how desperate I was and connect me to the internet. And so I'm here. I apologize if the sound perhaps is not the best. There's music in the background of the restaurant. Not a lot of people. I am by the street. Let me put you here. This is the street over here. This is as real as it gets right now. As real as it gets.
Rafael, I think it's wonderful. Well, first of all, I do apologize again that we have to put you through all of this, but
No,
I
no, no,
greatly appreciate you making it regardless, and many thanks for the efforts. It's greatly appreciated.
no, no. For me, it's an honor because the work that you do and the people that I always say that cigars bring people together, and this is one of those occasions that sometimes we work with people in the same country, same area, same city, but this is an opportunity to reach friends from the worldwide, and at the end is really what we try to do with cigars, right? Create moments, create experiences. And I always say the cigars taste better when you are with friends. So here, this cigar, I can tell you, this is a muestra, something that we did from yesterday, actually and it tastes right now fantastically because I'm smoking with you guys. So thank you, thank you.
I couldn't agree more with you, Rafael. And yeah, your words are music to my ears, most literally. And last time we spoke extensively about your background, about your story that really sounds and reads like the American dream, and this huge inspiration to many people, not only in the cigar industry but in general. I think it speaks volumes to you as a person, but also to the industry at large. What a tremendous community it is, and what a tremendous industry that provides opportunities to people from all walks of life, no matter your background, no matter where you come from. And also, as you said, cigars bring people together from literally all around the world. I was fortunate to just experience that yet again in the US. Whenever you go to a cigar lounge in the United States, it has such a warm and welcoming ambience and atmosphere, and you see people from various parts of the country, but from all over the world, really. And I hope that Light 'em Up has also become such a place where people can safely express and freely express their thoughts, their opinions. And we have people joining us from Asia, from the Middle East, Europe, Africa, the US, Central and South America. So I think it's really a testament to the community and the quality of the people therein.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Rafael, let me ask you this. We all know that the past couple of years have brought tremendous challenges and change for all of our lives, personally, professionally. It was, to, I would say, most degree, a beneficial time for the cigar industry. We've seen strong sales. We've seen a strong influx of new aficionados, new apasionados, new cigar enthusiasts, and seasoned veterans enjoying more premium cigars. Obviously, that little mini boom that we have experienced also brings with it certain hurdles and challenges or risks that we all need to be mindful of. But from your perspective, here at towards the end of Q1 in 2024, how do you feel about the situation that we're in? And particularly, and I want to wholeheartedly congratulate you on this, also your evolution in the company, where not so long ago you were officially appointed to the VP of Product Capabilities for Tabacalera USA. And again, kudos to you, and we all take our hat off to that. Even though we know that you've been so quintessentially involved in the growth trajectory and the evolution of Tabacalera, its various blends, brands, and products. And you're a true advocate and ambassador to cigars in general. How do you feel about those recent months and years ever since we last spoke?
I think we are on the best time possible for cigars in general. We are coming out of the festivals that happened here in Nicaragua in January, a couple of weeks ago in Dominican Republic with the Pro Cigar Festival, and last week in Cuba. We have seen an amazing interest in cigars. The pandemic, we all thought it was going to be very difficult, and it was, but it shows something that I love about our cigar industry, the premium cigar industry, which is resilience and also hard work and feel positive about life and about work and about what we do. And I think that's something that I fell in love with the cigar industry, and it shows more than ever during the pandemic, where the world kind of stopped, very difficult situation, and we saw the best of everybody, the best of everybody. So we continue working. Thanks God to the people here in Nicaragua, Dominica, and Cuba. But they continue making cigars. Honduras continue making cigars and working hard. And then when we thought this not only might be the end of the world, but the end of our industry, as we know, it showed that the resilience, right? And the positivism that everybody has, that we think that we did something very good in trying to supply the demand that was. Because at the end of the day, when you are home alone and you're thinking that the world is definitely different, that your life and those you love is in jeopardy, at least we felt that by continuing to supply the cigars to people, we gave them little piece of hope and tranquility and special moments. So it sounds perhaps more romantic than people might think about it, but that's the way I think the industry saw it. I'm not going to say that as a business it was good, but it goes beyond that. It goes beyond of when you're at home alone and you cannot go out. And what do you do after watching endless hours on Netflix or TV? Was horrible TV at the time, and because all you heard is how many people were dead and were difficulties and the closing. At least when you got a cigar in your hand and you were able to, those that cannot smoke in their houses, but at least they were able to experience some moment outside of tranquility and peace, and it was a pure enjoyment. I think that brought a lot of people to the industry, a lot of new consumers, new adult consumers to the industry, and they saw that people are smoking a cigar, beer, these type of things that started. You started, this that we're doing right now. It started in the pandemic, right? And we were able to connect. So what it shows the industry is the resilience, that nothing is going to stop, that we like to smoke cigars with people, and together via this new technology that is amazing, that brings the world together, people learn, oh my God, there's hope. There is hope. So I think because of that, the industry is the best it is. And it's, we experienced in the United States a cigar boom before, but we learned a lot from there, that you need to continue to look at the quality, and innovation is very important in our business. In Tabacalera, our logo says tradition and innovation. So we need to respect the tradition, but also innovate. And I think because of all of those things together, the industry right now is the best I ever seen. This is the best time to be a cigar consumer. This is the best time to be a cigar manufacturer, a grower, I think, because we like to create. And at the end of the day, people like me, what we do is create every day. So I think it's the best moment.
I'm very glad to hear that, Rafael. And every now and then, also here on the show and over the past months, I've heard that people were slightly scared, or at least cautious, let's put it that way, as to what a boom can do to the industry as well, and what that can mean translated into the quality of the cigars and the smoking experience. And every now and then, you might run across an issue with a cigar, but I think on a larger scale, what's even more important to take into consideration is quite many countries are facing challenges in regards to labor, with people fleeing the countries and the tremendous brain drain, whether it's in Nicaragua or other countries in Central America. Tobacco, Ecuador being in such a difficult shape at the moment with the aftermaths of El Nino. So we see it on the raw material side as well. Then you throw all the logistic nightmares of global supply chain on top, which does not necessarily affect the manufacturing side so much, but logistics and also resulting in the prices for the end consumer. So you take all of that and you put it in a cocktail shaker and you come up with that weird concoction that's really not easy to swallow and digest for the manufacturers, but also for the consumers. And to hear a positive note from you, having such a profound insights on all various steps of the process, is reassuring and wonderful. Have you seen any particular issues with the supply of raw material or the
Oh yeah, no,
the
no.
workers
Yeah,
that
there is.
you have
There is.
under your guidance?
There is. There is a lot of challenges. You can be positive, but you need to realize the challenges so you can deal with it. Not only, I think what happened, the demand grew. We do pay attention, very close attention to the quality because we knew that happened during the boom on the 80s and 90s, and we understood that was very necessary. Although I wasn't in the industry at the time, I was a consumer. The people that what I call the masters, from Ernesto Pérez Carrillo, de Lito Gómez, de Fuentes, de Plasencia, de Oliva, people that have been, doing this for a long time, they knew that we needed to pay attention to the quality. However, there are other issues, political issues, for example, in Nicaragua, in Honduras, Central America, people that are moving a lot to the border to the United States. So there's a lot of challenges with the labor, and then cigars is something that you need to train and takes a long time for people to master that craft, and it's a big issue. Then in addition, that affects dramatically also the crops, because you need people to pick the tobacco, to grow the tobacco, that also. And then you add not only the weather issue in Ecuador, but also the political issue that Ecuador has been undergoing, and that has a big effect. So for us as a manufacturers, we have to look for other origins, right? We need to be creative in that type of thing. However, what I think has helped dramatically is that a company like ours, for example, I have my own company, Aging Room Cigar, but it's distributed by Altadis, which is part of the Tabacalera USA. I work with their blends and developing the blends quality, etc. But as a company, we have a factory in Dominican Republic, Tabacalera Garcia, one in Honduras, which is Flor de Copan. What I think has helped us is in preparation for all this is maintain 2 to 3 years of inventory of tobacco. And that, puts you less at risk, right? And everybody that I know, AJ Fernandez from Plasencia, Oliva, other, they have amazing inventories of tobacco. And people realize that if the pandemic shows something, is that we need to be ready, we need to be prepared, because life. I always knew that personally, by the way. As you know, we talk about my story coming to Cuba from a boat and things like that. You need to be ready for whatever life throws at you. It's like a baseball game or whatever, you don't know what they're going to hit you with, but you know that you need to be ready and you need to be able and ready to do it. And I think keeping inventory of tobacco is such an important thing, because not only in regular times allow for consistency of the cigar making, you can maintain the blends and easier, obviously, but in moments like this has helped us, because we don't need to wait for the tobacco this year if we got affected by the rains and things like that. So yeah, it is difficult. They are enormous amount of challenge. But I never seen, let me just tell you, I never seen such a optimistic group of guys as in the cigar industry. Keep in mind that in regular times, no pandemic, no problems, you have to start growing a little plant that perhaps in few years, if you have no fire, no illnesses, no bad weather, no hurricane, no political unrest, no nothing. If everything goes extremely well, in few years you're gonna make a cigar. My God, you have to be the most optimistic person in the world to think long term. And I'm not talking about us, me that started, you know, I'm here in the industry 25 years, and that's like nothing to these people. These people have moved countries and moved family from generations because of different things. So you have to be optimistic, and it shows on the work that we do. It shows in how we prepare for the future, and how the initiatives are done based on working around these particular issues. Yes.
Rafael, I have to say that's something that always fascinated me about you, and something I always thoroughly enjoyed and appreciated. You're such a positive person at heart, and you radiate that positivity in the most beautiful sense, and I think it's something that not only the industry but the world needs more than ever. You know, God knows there's plenty of things going on out there, and to have that spark of hope in your eyes and in every word that you speak is absolutely wonderful. And I firmly believe it goes back to everything that you have experienced, and everything that you had to endure. I went through quite a lot of stuff in my life as well, and I always feel that resilience is very much a consequence of challenges and hardship that you had to endure in your life. But if you manage to do that, so much positive energy can come out of that, and act as the breeding grounds for wonderful things and great creations.
It is that, and what I found, you know, in the industry, I met how I started. I was after, you know, the Cuba. I came from Cuba, music, hospitals. I met this guy Nick Perdomo, and I know the time, the date, and that I met him, February 23rd of 1999. I met Nick Perdomo, his family. I smoked my first cigar. This guy has so much energy and love and passion, and it's contagious. And I said, wow. And I told that evening to my wife, this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. I'm going to be on the cigar business because of this guy. And then I met other people, and everybody has amazing stories, right? The same thing you mentioned, you're going through your life with different moments. We all have experiences, that's life. But I think the result is how you look at life, and how you look at the challenges. And it does, you know, it's not that we don't have the challenge, but it's how we cannot control things around us, and we definitely cannot control life. There's a higher entity that takes care of that. But what we can do is control how we react, and what do we do about it. And what I found in the cigar industry, people like that, people that are very, very optimistic. And at the end of the day, that's why I say, Reinhard, we make cigars, but more than that, we create moments and we create experiences for people. A cigar, listen, a cigar is just a cigar. It's good, bad, you know, have this taste, have the other taste, all of that. But what we do is create those moments, whether you are alone or whether you are with friends, or whether you're the loved one, or whether your wife's telling you, oh, please go out and smoke it outside. And you know, it is moments that we create, and I think opportunities like this to be together. Look what it came out of the pandemic, right? We are able to do this because we learn. Oh, we cannot connect. We cannot. No, but let's connect. What? But why? No. Let's connect worldwide. It's no longer just the people in the lounge, which is an amazing opportunity to meet people and to talk. But we can do this worldwide. And I have friends that were reaching out today and text me, "Oh, I'll see you there." It is a continuation. So it is the being positive, but in addition is to take advantage of new technology and how we use it to connect people together. And I think that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Eh?
Very true. Now, another thing, and again, allow me to sort of reference back to your history and the things that we discussed in the past. You had such an interesting evolution personally, but also in the industry. You were at the forefront of the boutique movement. Your company even carried that in the name in the first place. And today, still with Aging Room, you represent that side of the industry, whereas your role with Tabacalera also gives you the opportunity to work with enormous resources behind you. And that's one thing I wanted to ask you when you brought up the challenges of tobacco and the labor force before. Do you think that for a company like Tabacalera USA, for Altadis, it's even more challenging in such times to keep that inventory or even build it, to keep the consistency of the blends and the cigars that you have proposed to so many consumers out there, when the boutique companies probably have a little more flexibility, also because it has become such a trend to produce limited editions where you might have that exceptional bale of tobacco and you do a limited run of 15,000, 50,000, no matter how many cigars it might be, and then you come up with something new. But you represent some of the best established legacy brands out there, and it's all about that continuity. It's all about the people who have probably enjoyed that blend for 20 odd years, and that's what they are looking for. That's what they rely on. How do you think about that, and how do you manage to overcome that, and supply to both of these ends of the industry?
Yeah, no, that's a good question because when you make a cigar, you do making one cigar at a time. It doesn't matter whether you make 2 million cigars or you make 500 cigars. It's a cigar at a time. So what I credited everything that we have done in Tabacalera to my boss, the president of the company, Javier Estades, who had the foresight or saying, listen, we are big, but we need to think small. And so it's an interesting dynamic. We talk about hybrids, hybrid cars, hybrid seeds. We do have a hybrid. We're big, but we think small. And we need to think small, meaning that we need to take the quality of the cigar very seriously. And we do. For example, we're releasing now the PCA, a small 5,000 cigar release, with tobaccos over 10 years. It's our most, I can talk about it because Cigar Aficionado is writing the story right about now. We're releasing a Monte Cristo Doble Diamante, and that cigar is our most exclusive, more premium, more thing. It's only 5,000 cigars. We have a factory in Dominican Republic at Tabacalera Garcia that makes 40 million cigars. We have another one that makes over 15 million cigars in Honduras. And then we work with partners like AJ, Plasencia, and things like that. So I think Javier Estades, when he brought me to the company, he wanted to reach or change the mentality that we were big, but we needed to think as a boutique, because at the end of the day, that's what we do, cigars. And like I mentioned, we do one cigar, we do 500 cigars a day. We need to think. Now, that's when the attention to quality and details, it's not the same as running a factory that makes 3 million cigars with a factory that makes 40 million cigars that has 2,500 employees just rolling cigars. You need to I mean, the logistic alone, right? To make sure that people are there, sitting in the place. I mean, just the logistic of lunchtime, you know, things like that. So it is a well-oiled machine that makes that. And then, listen, we know that we need to do the same thing that any other company, have great tobacco. So we brought in buyers, tobacco people from different areas, people that have been doing this. We have a fantastic buyer, Adin Perez, that is also in charge of processing. I brought him from Honduras to move it to, he's a cousin of Plasencia and AJ Fernandez, and I moved it to Dominican. And then we brought people to make sure, help us with the processing and things like that. So I think it's really more challenging, to tell you the truth, to make 100 million cigars than 3 million cigars. So there are different challenges because we need 3 years of inventory, but that's a lot of money and that's a lot of tobacco. And we need the supplies that can people to do that. So it is a unique situation, and you need to be open and think differently than everybody else. We're not here to make money. We are here to make money, but we are here to provide the best cigar possible that we are. And that's my goal. And that's the goal of our company, to make the best cigar in the segments that we participate. When we make a $3 cigar, my goal is to make the best $3 cigar possible. Now, doesn't mean that we always reach our goal right away. This is a constant work. Every day, thousands of people in our company wake up every day, how I can make this better. And that is an amazing feeling because at the end of the day, we need the processing tobacco is a lot of people, a lot of tobacco. If something goes wrong, it's in a big way. And so that challenge is always there. And how we deal with that, again, with optimism and very positive. And when we make mistakes, and we make mistakes all the time, we learn from the mistakes and how we can improve and make it better. So the name Boutique, which is the name of my company, Boutique Blend Cigars, is really encompasses what we're trying to do just at a bigger scale. But at the end, it's not very different, because the person making the cigar there, in the couple making the cigar, the roller and the buncher, it is their own world. It's separate from, other thousands of people working around. That cigar has to be the best we can. So what we've done is bring that approach to the boutique company, to a large company, and that's what we do. If the tobacco finish, we're not going to continue making the blend. That's it. Because, hey, we need to be constant to what we do. And that's the same one that a small company does as a boutique. So that's the approach we brought. And I think it's paying off.
Rafael, in that sense, do you think it's mostly a matter of the mindset and how the leadership manages to translate that to all the people in the organization, no matter how big and small? When we keep with the analogies of the music world, I often think of it as in a boutique company, you probably act more like a soloist, right? You can improvise a little more, you play at your own pace, and you can entertain the audience in a more direct way. You probably get more direct feedback, and so it becomes that immediate dialogue. Whereas if you're part of a large orchestra, if you're part of a large band, then it's all about listening to the other musicians and finding that harmony and the symbiosis in a larger entity, which
Absolutely.
can be beautiful, but is also difficult sometimes. So do you think of that as just a conscious decision or a mindset that you need to get into in order to apply that and make it relevant to even a large entity, but at the end of the day, working on the same core principles, as you said?
Absolutely. I think you listen, and I'm glad you brought it, because I do everything in my life with the musical. By the way, there's some loud music on this place, but we Spanish people love our music, so here it's very loud. I think it's getting like a nightclub type of thing. So here, you put it very well. When you are a musician and you play as a soloist, as you say, improvisation, things like that, but it works differently because now you have a big orchestra. It's no wonder that not only I studied violin, but I pick up a piano for composition. But what I wanted to be was a conductor, which is what I tried to study my last part before I couldn't continue. And when you have an orchestra, then you have a conductor who has a vision, it has it brings all of those together. So there's important thing on tempo, right? And the conductor mostly keep the tempo and basically try to express what he thinks the composition or the composer meant. And that's what we try to do. It's exactly like that. It is a mindset. So I think people ask me, what is boutique? Boutique. And so there's a lot of definition. Well, when you make less than this, more than whatever, make more attention to the attention to the details and all of that. And all of that is true. But I think it's more than anything is a mindset. It's a mindset and it's how you approach that. So it did require a change top down to and also, by the way, also a bottom up as well. It's as well. So it is a two ways from the top down. You'll be amazing how many people know in the factory what things are wrong because they are on the bottom. And for me, I started cleaning floors and I made it to administrator of a hospital. So I know what was wrong because I learn it every day. And you ask people, and that's exactly what happened. People in the factory know people that. So it's a mindset, but also the coordination, because at the end of the day, I might be here talking to you. AJ Fernandez might be, the name of the brand and him, but it's a team effort. It's a team effort. Everybody's perhaps more important than we are, because they know. So it is a combination, as you say, a combination of all those things. Listen, Reinhard, I am about to leave now because now I have no charges. I got internet, but I have no charges. So I'm making to the factory in a few minutes. And can I join you in a few minutes, please?
Absolutely. Rafael, we'll keep the show going and we'll let you drive over to the factory, and then maybe when you connect, you can give us a little bit of a welcome or a tour of the factory, and in whichever way possible.
Absolutely. And before I leave, I'll give you a tour of the restaurant.
Fabulous.
It's pretty empty. There's no one here because it's in the middle of nowhere. I will connect with you in a few minutes and I will show you from the factory, okay?
Beautiful. Rafael,
thank you guys. I apologize for all the inconvenience.
We'll keep the show running for now.
I like I said, this is part of life. This is what happened in real life.
Perfect.
And I will get back to you, okay?
Absolutely. We'll see you in a second, Rafael.
Thank you.
Well, in the meantime, I think it's a good opportunity to probably bring in some of our treasured folks here in the audience, our friends and family, and maybe hear your thoughts. What do you think about the analogies that we just discussed, the whole terminology about boutique and larger entities? I know this is a very philosophical question and one that we could discuss to great length, but Robert, maybe you have a thought on this. I'd be curious to hear your feedbacks and your thoughts.
Having my own boutique cigar and knowing Rafael as well as I do, I was just as you know, I was at Pro Cigar 2 weeks ago, and I actually toured Tabacalera USA. And, listen, you have the Fuente factories, but this was of a different level. And it was so intense watching the organization, not just a factory, it's an organization. And I enjoyed it so much that next week I'm going to La Gran Fumada, and I'm taking one of my partners here from my business with me. And I literally an hour and a half ago, I'm taking a 2-hour drive, and we're going back up so he can tour with me again. Even though I saw it 2 weeks ago, I want to share it with him because it's special. Just it's an organization. It's a well-oiled machine. And as a boutique cigar owner, to see the production, and even when he talks about the 5,000 sticks, that's so small, I don't think people appreciate the time-sensitive nature that it takes to prepare for that, to market that, to get it all ready. It didn't happen a week ago. It probably happened X months or years ago in preparation, even for such a small launch. So that's part of its branding. And it's amazing to me.
Rob, if I can add,
Michael.
and hey, how are you? Ironically, I may be joining Rob next week for that, if I don't have some other meetings. But to add on to that, I had the pleasure of doing a private tour last summer there, and it really is amazing when you look at their facility. And from somebody who has spent a lot of time in factories all over the world, I mean, the scale and the organization, just when you walk into the place, they actually have bus stops from each factory because they don't have a factory. They have a box factory. They have a packaging factory. They have a sorting factory. And it's so spread out and so organized that they have bus stops for their different employees to catch the buses to go from one place to another. And then as they come in and out of the factories, and you walk through, and even in their box factory, they have a whole section that it looks like when you go into a major, car manufacturing area and you see in television where they're spray painting, and spraying cars and painting facilities, and they have the same machinery working to paint the boxes. It's just unbelievable.
I remember, not to interrupt, I remember when I went to the tour 2 weeks ago, and based on what you're saying, Michael, nowadays with modern technology, Reinhard, everything is automated, machines and what have you. But what literally shocked me is when I was touring the section that makes the boxes, there's actually stations of people, Reinhard, if you haven't seen it, and Michael, remember, that are actually sitting there with the wood and the glue, like when we were in elementary school, in the plastic glue, literally gluing by hand the boxes. I was taken back as to watching that in nowadays with modern technology, and they're still dedicated to hand gluing each piece of fiber of that wood with wood glue.
Fascinating, really. Well, Robert, I mean, you're an artist, like Rafael, and for somebody like you, every single piece that you create is really a one of a kind. It's a unique creation. It's your personal expression of that moment and the inspiration and what you had in mind, the target that you had set for yourself. And here we're talking about a massive operation that, if you break it down to the smallest entity, and as you just said, also applies the same principles, and it's at a much larger scale. But at the end of the day, you have to also reach that level of the attention to detail, where every single piece leaving your factory is a piece of art in and by itself, because that's a cigar somebody around the world will put in their mouth. They will cut it, they will light it up, and they will enjoy it. And hopefully, in whichever circumstances, that will provide them tremendous pleasure. Now, what's fascinating to me, though, is, Robert, with your experience in particular, why do you think that we always lean towards favoring or romanticizing the boutique, the small, the niche, the quote-unquote handmade, even though all of what we're talking here, of course, are handmade premium cigars, just at different levels of scale? But why do you think we're so in love with that terminology, boutique, and we so much want to cling on to that romanticism of this is the small, where's the giant here?
It's funny that you asked me this today, and I'll explain why. Not that this is my own subjective answer. I think, and I'll explain why I said today. Let me tell you, I woke up this morning and I got an email from Cigar Journal magazine, because as people know that I have my own boutique cigar called Kinship. I had no idea, because I had them rated. I had two different cigars, and one got rated last quarter, and I just figured they only rated one. I found that this morning because the publication comes out. It was published today, and it's coming out in the stands today and next week. That I have a San Andreas and a Habano 2000. The San Andreas this morning got a 92. So to answer your question, I think the romanticism, and that's what you're saying, is they're small. It's thinking about the people that manufacture 10, 20,000 sticks. And can they become big? Can they build their cigar? And I think because I don't mean exclusivity because it's boutique, because you have exclusive cigars of, Tabacalera USA. But to know that this is just a small industry, they're being made, like the person making the box, maybe the bands are being done. It's being done by a small little team. And to have that cigar eventually maybe grow into something, I think that's part of it's a small company. I mean, you take a look at Gus and Bill with El Pupo and La Vida. That's exactly what I'm saying. They started out, which was a boutique cigar. They owned a cigar shop in Queens, New York, and now I anticipate seeing them up on the stage during the Trophy Awards at Cigar Journal with their El Pupo. That to me, so to answer your question, it's just that part of knowing that it's small and growing within the industry if you can. So that's what I think, at least.
Beautiful. A great thought. And if one of our guests here by Zoom here at the lounge would like to chime in, then please make yourselves heard. Albert, I know that you had your hand up a while ago, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Please chime in, buddy.
Well, thanks. Well, actually, my thought was to our guest, but since he's not here, a simple observation. What he said that we are a big operation, but we think as a small operation, and that is a classic perfect business model. What he said, that we know we're not gonna be perfect, but we're gonna try to be perfect. And that is like a music to ears to anybody who has been involved in growing business from small to larger, to corporate grade. That is the absolute music. And I think that the whole scale that was shared, that they have bus stops to reach from factory to factory, the amount of operational knowledge that you need to put in it, it's almost screams that they have to be like Sigma 6 black belts. But it's just phenomenal. Like, honestly, after hearing this, I just would love to tour the factories and just see the whole operation, even if it's not gonna take a day or two.
Beautiful, Albert. Many thanks. Michael, I was very curious about your comments, and it was great to have you chime in. I hope that you can go on the trip with Robert next week, and then maybe you can report back in on location, and maybe you can join us for the show and give us a little bit of a tour whilst you're there. I once had the privilege of visiting Tabacalera de Garcia myself before the pandemic, actually. So it was still before the renovation or the new building being opened, but I can only assume what it looks like now, and how massive and impressive of an operation it must be, truly. Curious to hear Macy's thoughts. Macy, you also had your hand up before, and I'm sure that you have
I got my list. Don't worry.
Oh, you got your list. Well, there you go.
I've got a deeper, for the intermission here, the seventh inning stretch, wherever we are, metaphysically, intergalactically.
Well, walk us through your list.
Here's a question. Something that I was actually had the pleasure of talking about. I'm sorry, there was a delay. I'm sorry.
All good. I said just walk us through your list, or at least the points that do not directly concern Rafael, because he'll be back in a few seconds. But in the meantime,
I'll get to that. But I've got first just a question. Maybe we can, and it's something I actually talked about Steve Saka and Patrick Legreed at Puro Sabor and others at the table. And we got on the topic, we're actually talking about why CA won't rank, has never ranked or rated a Saka cigar, why they won't ever. It's a whole different story. But we've got on this topic of ratings. And I think we, and not just cigars, but we as a Western society, we're far too obsessed with rankings. This is absolutely prevalent in spirits and cigars. It's probably its worst in American universities where, like, you know, you got like Princeton, Harvard, and Yale. Like, I mean, are you kidding me? You're gonna fight, or like, it's just absolutely asinine and stupid. And I don't know what's going on. Why we're, for example, cigar concert, why we're so obsessed with ratings and not nearly as obsessed, you know, which are absolutely, I think, bastardized by marketing factors and all sorts of conflicts of interest and just subjective factors. It's just inherently subjective. Whereas you've got objective characteristics of cigars, spirits, whatever, and those are not discussed as much. And it's strange to me that a subjective thing like a rate, I guess it's just a shortcut. That's what Saka and Legreed talked about at the time. They said, you know, people just want shortcuts. They don't want to spend the time and effort. They want a number and they want to say this better than that. And they want simple and maybe not even accurate, but
And here's
Hello,
Rafael.
guys.
Hey, welcome back.
Hello. Well, I'm here in the factory. I got my charger over here, and I'm not sure you see it. I got the charger, and I'm here right now on the in AJ Fernandez factory. This is where the tobacco leaves are being prepared. This is a sorting area here. Hola. ¿Cómo están? This is how the bunch comes. She's cutting the untie them and start separating it. Actually, she's taking out the vein. This over here is taking the vein out. ¿Qué tabaco es este? Perdón. México. This is a Mexican San Andres. It's a pretty interesting process. So all this area, they're doing that. ¿Esto qué es? ¿México también? ¿Eh? This is broadleaf from Connecticut. Gracias. Can you guys see it?
Beautiful, Rafael. I just let you do the talking so that your video plops up big on the screen and everybody can
Thank you.
follow your tour and your description.
Look at
So
this.
please
It's a
feel
lot
free
of
to walk us
tobacco.
around
Each
and
leaf, look at this. It's each leaf. Hola. Each leaf represents a cigar. And now we're going to go into the production area. Eh? Buenas. Wow, it's an incredible process. Look at it. It's an incredible process. I'm glad that we were able to do it for you guys to see, because so much work goes into making a cigar, right? so many people, so many hands, the dedication, how many, they say that about 300 pairs of hands touch that. Hola. Mira, de allá de Viena, y de Budapest, y de... Look at it's an incredible process. I'll tell you, it's something that is every time I come here once a month here, once a month in Dominican Republic, Honduras every few months, and then travel a lot. But when I get to a place like this, that I see the hands, the people making the cigar, it's really like a shot of adrenaline, you know? It's it makes me feel in love again and again and again. I have to tell you, if you never had a chance to be on the factory, I will encourage you to one day come in, because it's an amazing opportunity. So I got back to the office area. The office area. I hope that you enjoy the little tour, well, at least not a tour, but a little bit of the production area, because I think it's an amazing process, right?
Rafael, that's fascinating, and thank you so much for walking us down the factory floor. Beautiful behind the scenes inside. We love that. Now let me ask you this: with what we just saw and what you have experienced at Tabacalera de Garcia or at AJ's factory where you are right now, what are some of the things that strike you as unique, or something that you see in these factories that really, you know, gets you excited, where you feel this is where they apply a little technique or a little twist here and there to truly make those cigars stand out and unique from the rest?
Yes. First of all, they are things that are common to every factory, right? Which is you have the tobacco, the preparation, and the making of the cigars. They might be a little bit differences in how you make a cigar in different factories, from how you put the leaves inside the bunch and things like that. And all of those details add to what you're trying to convey. However, one of the things that makes that is the most important for me, my opinion, everything starts on the soil. Everything starts in the preparation of the soil. Everything starts on the type of seed variety that you use and the right mash. Because when you develop a new seed, a new variety, a hybrid or something, it takes years to get used to the land, and it takes years of that, and then that's when you start growing. You start in little areas, but not all seeds. AJ Fernandez, for example, used a different method that he has in different farms, different varieties. But it took time to find out which variety is the one that is the most appropriate for that. So I believe the details, the sum of all those details is what it makes a unique and a different. And we all try to make great cigars, and we all try to make, our vision of what the cigar is. But I think that it starts on the soil, the preparation, and then one that is, this is a question. Okay, what is the flavor come from? What percentage is a wrapper? What percentage is a filler? All these things. The same thing happened to do. What percentage of that is the type of tobacco, and then the preparation of the soil, and what percentage is the preparation of the tobacco later in the pre-industry, which is the fermentation process. And I think, personally, that is the most where you have more impact in making it, in make a difference or different type of flavors, because of the same leaf. If you prepare it different, right? Is you get different flavors. So I think every factory, every cigar manufacturer, everyone has a different techniques, their own book, like we say, and and we all trying to express that to do that. And I think that is the most important part. And then obviously how you prepare the cigar. But I think the more impact is the fermentation process, and that's what I work with many factories. Everyone is different, and so we know what we wanted to do, which one will afford what we want to that cigar that we're trying to convey, the idea. So every single one is a little bit different on that part.
Rafael, would you say that is mostly a consequence of the time that you take in the fermentation of the pilones, and the temperature to which temperature you let the tobacco rise before you disassemble and then make another pilon and sort of switch things around? Or where would you say is that room to play with and to navigate?
Yes, the certainly the time, it's we work with perhaps the biggest grower, tobacco grower, and in Dominican Republic, it's Jose Mendez family, and his father recently died, and he used to tell me he was German, but came to the Dominican and married a lady from Cuba that had just arrived, and the father of that woman was the Jose Mendez that started the company. Then the German came and fell in love and continued running the business, and now his son is in charge. But the father used to tell me, Siegfried, this is all time. There's no more than time. It takes time. Even if you're doing it wrong, the time cures everything. If you do it better, even better. So it's a combination on that. The pilones is an interesting thing. I don't know if you want me to walk you to the pilon area as well, which is right next to us here. The pilones is a time where the tobacco rests and fermented, and that's where the fermentation process happens. That is not more than the breaking of the sugars, right? So it is like Italian tomato sauce. Every family has their own recipe, or like in Cuban, we make black beans, and it's every mother has a different technique. That is a variation of time, and that you keep it always a slow fire. Is better, where everything that you a slower fire is better. And that's the same thing with the tobacco. But I mean more than that. I mean the how you put it, whether it's a hide, the type of seed, how long you keep it, how much, when to take it off is important, because otherwise you destroy the tobacco. So it's all those things. But then each variety takes a different fermentation, and you play in the wrapper, for example. You play with the time, depending of whether it's a viso or whether it's a ligero that is a little bit stronger, and how you put it, when you put it, all those things. You don't get a red light that said, hey, or a green light is ready. No, this is about touching it every day, and it's a human thing, right? Touching it, smell it, looking at it, and prepare a little cigar and smoking it. It just takes time, because every variety, for example, I show you there 2 tobaccos that were separated. One was the Mexican San Andres, and one was the Connecticut broadleaf. 2 complete different varieties. And the process are different. Sometimes that broadleaf, depending what we're trying to do, sometimes you leave 1.5 years in pilons, and you have to change it. And when the temperature, when do you think, what are you trying to do? It's just an amazing process. And I think that has a lot of implication on the flavor and the burning and the overall impact of the blend.
I mean, it's so fascinating when you think that in music you have 7 notes in a scale, and in tobacco you would think there's only so many varieties that you can play with. You only have so many variables in the whole equation that you can work with. But at the end of the day, there's still so much to be explored, and there's still so many cigars and new blends to be discovered by cigar enthusiasts out there, and almost every day something new and exciting pops up. Do you think at the end of the day we're playing with a finite number of possible options that you could
No,
propose in form of a cigar?
no.
Or would
I
you
think
rather say sky's the limit?
I think my opinion is an infinite number of variation you can do. Um, think about all the music that we listen to, and you're right, only 7 notes, but then, you have notes between the notes, and then you play with the tempo and the harmony, and which note you put up front of the note or which you put in the back. In tobacco, it's even bigger, right? Because new varieties are coming all the time. I'm working now with Plasencia family with a broadleaf from Connecticut that they grow in Honduras and Nicaragua with first they started the broadleaf there, the seed grown here, and then they did a hybrid with a Habano. Criollo 98 Habano seed. And now this is a result of that leaf. It's a leaf that looks and feels like a broadleaf, and it tastes like a Habano. Can you imagine the possibilities, right? Because it tastes like a Habano with some variation for the most part, tastes like a Habano, but now you can ferment it longer. You can extract new flavors because the fermentation process allows to longer time. So you break the sugars more slowly. And that is one that we're working on. This has been developed maybe in the last 7 or 8 years. My agent's room, Cuatro Nicaragua Sonata, is a hybrid that AJ developed. Took him about 10 years to develop. And it's a hybrid, listen to this, of a Sumatra seed. But that Sumatra seed was grown in Ecuador and already got some of the Ecuadorian identity. And then he took that seed and mixed it with the Criollo 98 and took 10 years to develop. Now complete different flavors, nothing to do with Sumatra, nothing to do with Habano, but a new flavor. And those are just 2 varieties that I've worked. Last year, I introduced the Sonata, the Cuatro Nicaragua Sonata, and I'm going to introduce now a new one with the broadleaf. This is just in the last 6 months that I released those 2. And then when you mix it with tobaccos, listen, say Nicaragua, okay, where I am currently, you have Condega, you have Estelí, you have Ometepe, and Jamastran, and Jalapa. Jamastran, the same part of the valley, but of Honduras, but Jalapa. Now, all different seeds, varieties you can grow in these places. Then, whether it's ligero, piso, or seco, based on how thick they is and the location of the plant. Then, whether you grow it on sun-grown or cover. Then, you have what you mix it with. And then you have different varieties there. And then that's only in Nicaragua. That's, only in Nicaragua. With those 4 areas, which I have played around for a long time, just tobacco from those areas. Same varieties. I have done many, but I have done many blends. Now, when you bring now tobacco to the equation, Mexico, United States, Dominican, different regions, different seeds, Ecuador, Indonesia, Colombia, Panama, Peru, Italian, now, not only those countries, but the regions in those countries and the varieties in those countries. It's just the amount of blends. Nestor Plasencia and I talking, the senior, it's just infinite. We believe it's infinite, the amount that we can do. With what we have now, that's not even counting what we're going to have in 10 years, new varieties, obviously.
Very, very true. Now, one question that I have burning under my fingernails, and the reason I'm getting to this, Rafael, is everything that you just said, and one thing that has been bothering me for a while. I'm actually doing a series of articles about this in the Cigar Journal magazine, where I want to explore different types of tobacco and give people a better understanding of the various ingredients that you just named, these instruments that make up for the wonderful orchestra that you can experience. One of the main questions, one of the first questions ever when you discuss a cigar is, so what's the blend, right? And people like to just go through the whole spiel of wrapper X, binder Y, filler, bum, 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 bum. These are the components. Here's your symphony. Even what you just said, do you think there's even value in disclosing a blend? Or what does tell a consumer if you read, well, you have Esteli Ligero in there. Some people will even tell you it's only Nicaraguan. So it doesn't really tell you much. And even if you were to know it's X hybrid grown in this plot of land, it's a Viso and been fermented for that many months, that's wonderful. But as a consumer, you still have no idea what that tobacco will taste like, smell like all by itself, let alone how it contributes to the blend in the end. So
Yeah.
you see where I'm trying to get to. Do you think there's value even in that part of the conversation and what you try to convey to the consumer?
I don't think there's a lot of value in that. I think there was a moment of time that when you are looking at new world cigars, for example, it is good to find out what are the regions and what are the characteristics of each region. It is as a matter of learning. When you talk about Cuban cigars, it's Habano. No one knows where it's coming from, what part of the island. But everybody thinks that Pinar del Rio is the only one, and then the many parts of the island that produce tobacco and different things. I don't think, as a matter of fact, I stopped disclosing details about the blend. I actually, I didn't see the name, but someone said, and sometimes people lie. Absolutely. It's we're human and everybody, so some people just say things. But what I started to do, that's not to say that it's great to know about tobacco, but at what level, of you need to know at what level does it make a difference. I think you need to learn. We all love to learn about the different types of tobacco and new things that we do. It's important to know, because I think what it tells the consumer is that we are innovative. We are working diligently to bring new flavors and ideas and expression to the cigar we're smoking. The details, well, at the end, you like it or not like it, whatever it has inside, and things like that. But it's good to know. But at what level? It's like studying medicine, the doctor knows, but what level you need to know about we all know a little bit about the human body, but do we know how everything works? Well, I feel the same way. What I have done in the last few years, I just say it's a Nicaraguan blend, or I like to work with puros. I like to work with country origin. I like to work with specific regions. So I like to work with specific farms. Finding different things, because I think they all bring. Bringing this to music before I continue on that. We all love Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, and what do we know about the Fifth Symphony? Now there are different scales and the different things that make that. But what we know is and then there are a bunch of other things, but we know So what I have done is, on the last few years, is to focus on what makes that cigar unique. It can be the time of aging. It can be a specific variety of that one, or it can be the type of wrapper or the type of region for a specific part that I think brings the most difference to that cigar. And I focus on that. We are doing a Monte Cristo now. We launch this today, as I mentioned. We are announcing our most premium Monte Cristo, and we say, listen, this is a cigar that every single leaf have been aged over 10 years. And then what is unique that I work with AJ in 3 different farms only. I know the year the tobacco was grown, I know the fermentation of that tobacco, and I know the varieties of that. But I think what makes a cigar unique, one is that only 3 particular farms, La Lilia, San Lotano, Dorado. I think that's what it makes unique. And then the aging process that took over 10 years as a slow fermentation, took over 10 years of aging. I think those 2 things is what make the cigar special. Everything else, there are a lot of things that make that cigar special, by the way. But at the end of the day, you're going to buy a car. You're going to buy a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. And if you're a mechanic, you're really, really into the cars, you can know a lot of different details. But at the end of the day, what makes that car special is damn fast and damn sexy. That's it. So that's the way I feel. That not necessarily that everybody should feel the same way. That's just how I feel.
Beautiful. I love that. Many thanks for sharing that. Ian, your hand just shut up. So you probably at the point of the age of the tobacco, but whatever it is, it's wonderful to have you with us. So chime in.
Thank you. Hi, Rafael. Thank you. And talking about the infinite varieties of tobacco and so on, can you say a bit about the difficulties of getting consistency from year to year? I mean, I have my favorite cigars, like I love the Oliva Serie V and the Serie V Milanio, and I want them to be the same. But obviously, it's a different year, it's different tobacco, it's perhaps fermented differently. How do you get the consistency from year to year with different crops and so on? Perhaps you could say a bit about that, please.
That's an excellent question. And when I started my company, Boutique Blends, I focused on special batches because I number the batches, F55, M356, things like that. When that tobacco that was on the original blend finished, or one of the components finished, that's it. I moved to another blend, pretty much like a wine from a specific vintage or years. However, what obviously working for a big company, or you mentioned Oliva Serie V, which is fantastic cigar. When we are making those type of cigars, and we make a lot of those cigars, what we have to do is, first of all, that's why I mentioned 2, 3, 4, 5 years of inventory, right? You need to have the tobacco continue processing so you don't run out of component, and you need to change it to one that is completely different. However, the biggest, most difficult job in the history, I think, of tobacco making is keeping the consistency. If I can tell you that a cigar that you were smoking 10 years ago is definitely not the same one that you're smoking today. There's no way. It's not even the same one that you smoked last year. But our job is to make sure that those variations on the tobacco or the raw materials due to weather changes and things like that are not noticed or very little notice, the least impact it has on the consumer to know. Because what we try, that's where we try to change components and then adjust the whole blend, right? See, the next crop of, let's say, use Esteli Ligero from Esteli, just for example. And that Ligero that year that we're using is less strong than the one before. Then we need to know or use other components that bring that to the level that you taste. But by the way, that other components may change the body of the cigar or the aroma of the cigar of that. And then we have to make some other changes to make sure that less impact. So it's a constant fine tuning. And by the way, from one pilon to the next, this happened. So every factory has our people, at the end it's people like me, but many people at the whole change testing the cigar to make sure every new component that you or any new batch that you're making, you are as consistency as possible, or that people will notice the less possible notice it of that. And we do it, changing components all the time, or even adjusting the same components at a different level, because they just change from one pilon to the next, because it's every leaf, it's a living thing. And when the fermentation, and it's like fermenting the wine, that changes from one. So the winemaker has to continue tasting all the time to make sure it's the same process. So it is the most difficult thing, by the way. We have in Tabacalera Garcia Vega Fina that we make there, for example, and to maintaining that for years and for years. Our factory, Tabacalera Garcia, does an amazing job of keeping that from year to year. It's one of the most unique things that factory can do, that not many factories can do, and that many changes. So yeah, it does change. I can assure you that Oliva Series V you mentioned, it does change. The idea is that you don't notice.
I think that may tie in with what we were saying about, people want to get a high point cigar. So something gets, 94 points in Cigar Aficionado and everybody rushes out to get it. But if you buy it next year, it won't be the same cigar. And, I think, you should enjoy cigars for what they are. And the fact that it was 94 points last year doesn't mean it's 94 points this year or will be next year. It could be a different cigar.
Or it's a Cigar Journal, the same thing when they mention this, they do the ratings. But then how they get to the next level of the final rating of which are the best, they continuously taste the cigar through the year, Cigar Aficionado does the same thing. They continue to rate the cigars, and then there's basically a tournament of the same cigars, and continue to do that, because sometimes they rate the cigar at the beginning of the year, it gets 94, 95 points, and then they rate it again and just didn't match. Because I think someone just mentioned that in the same box, you have different things, and it happens. It happens. Our job, or absolutely made by different pairs. It was mentioning. So we have ways. We have way of working on that. What we do is that the same batches that made by the same couple are. You saw it when they were rolling the cigar that we were putting together. Those are going to bunch together in a rueda of 50 cigars, and that rueda is going to travel together. They're going to look at it. They're going to keep together, and most probably those are the same one that are going to be in the box. Closely, the possibilities are very high, but it does changes, and then we change it based on colors as well. We look at the color before we put it in the box to make sure that all look, because it's nothing more for me. I'm a visual guy. There's nothing more difficult for me to open a box and see cigar with different colors, right? So that is just, for me, is a no-no. In the United States, we use a lot of cellophane, obviously, and the cellophane, mask that a little bit, but it's difficult. So there's a lot of different things to the change. I show you the production, then there's the quality checks and the packing area. So during all those changes, we try to make sure of that. But it will happen. It will change. But my job and the job of many people is that you notice it as least as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just briefly on that, Rafael, if you allow me. And I think it's a very quick answer, but you said it's not just about adjusting one component, for example, adjusting the primings. In 1 year, you might use a Viso, then the next year, that Viso probably smells and tastes differently, so you might adjust to either a Seco or you go up a little bit on the plant. But would you also say you sometimes entirely swap tobaccos and you go for a different seed in that blend?
All the time.
So it's not just only very
because that's
subtle, but it can be quite dramatic changes even to still reach the same end result.
exactly. It is the same. What we're trying is to make sure, as I was mentioning to him, that that you as a consumer taste it as little as possible, and then we make that adjustment all the time. It can be adjusting that component, or it can be just changing a component.
Great
But
point.
then that's all, that change may impact other things, and then you need to adjust every single one. So it's a constant work um, uh, of making those adjustments. Constant work.
I've seen the
Making
same
those-
thing, Rafael. It's like an equation. You know, I've been manufacturing my own vermouth for the better part of 10 years now. And I always see it with all the botanicals that you use. Sometimes people will say, well, you know, you use a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and 1 and 1 equals 2. And that's never the case. Whenever you switch one of these delicate components, the entire equilibrium gets thrown around, and you have to start from scratch, because if you take this, everything else will change in between, and that's what makes it so incredibly complex and challenging, but also so interesting.
Absolutely. And then let me tell you, one of the most challenging things for me, you know, you make a blend. I trace my blend. I started first in a 50 by 6. And now later I changed from 52 to 6. And now I do 54 by 6. I think for me it works better to do that. But then we want a Robusto, which is a 50 by X amount of centimeters that I don't, maybe 125 or something like that. I don't know the centimeter thing, but it may be 5 inches. So then you want to do another one that is 55 by 5, or you say a number, or 60 that these days in the United States, especially, is very, very, people are smoking them a lot. And then you said, okay, so I have, let's say for a number easier, 25% of these, 25% of these, and 50% of these, right? Okay, that's what the final blend was. But then we want to do it now. My blend I did in 54, then I want to do it in 60. Well, that 25, and 50 doesn't translate, because that 50 might have such an impact that is now too much, right? So when you scale it up or down, now you're going to do that. Then you're going to do a Lancero, which unfortunately doesn't sell a lot in the United States. For me, it's a fantastic size. But you cannot do 50, 25, 50 of these. So, you know, so not only then we do develop the blend, but then we develop 4 or 5 Vitolas blends. And then you have to constantly check that one, because you get a rating in one cigar. That's why cigars are rated by, you know, it's not a brand, but it's the size. But this is a snapshot in the moment, like he was saying before. But then every single size you want on the line that tastes similar. You know, you don't have enough time, you a little cigar, then you have more time, the bigger one, or one day you want a torpedo or belicoso or something. And then you need to adjust those to try to to taste the best out of those things. So now, only now we are checking one blend, we are checking 6 different blends or 10 different Vitolas all the time. So it's not an easy job. It's not an easy job. And there are people that do it perhaps better than me, but we try to do it as best as we can.
Allow me a quick follow-up on that, please. Why did you decide to go from a 6 by 50 as your standard blending size to a 52 and then to a 54? Is it because you feel closer to what the majority of the consumer is smoking today, or just by personal preference?
No, I think personally what happened is the 50, 52, and 54 have different leaves, more leaves, the 54 obviously, inside, and allows me to more be true to the flavors that I'm to get the best out of that blend. I think it's easier to do 25, 25, 50, because then you do one leaf, two leaf. And then if I need to do 1 or 1.5 leaf, or 1 leaf and 2 leaf. But if I'm doing a blend and the thick and what have you, and I only have 3 leaf, now it's a little bit more difficult to do the blend, develop the blend. For me, I think most people do it in a 52 right now. Most of the people that I know, or 54 is the best. But I like 52, and 54 allows you to mostly do that. But 50, it was I started. But I find out that with the type of tobacco that we are working with, I can better develop blueprints. So this is what we're trying to do: develop the blueprint for the flavor that I'm looking for. I do in a 54 these days.
As a consequence, does that mean you put a little less emphasis on the wrapper, because proportionally the filler then plays a bigger role in how the overall blend performs, right?
That is a great question. Yeah, and you're right. Because I'm trying to get the overall taste of that, right? However, when you that's another thing. When you change, all these components, when you work with all these different components, then it has an impact on the thickness based on the ratio, right, of that wrapper and which wrapper it is. Sometimes, if I'm developing a cigar where I develop the interim Pura Cepa or Big Number 2, that I will have a lot of emphasis in tobacco from Ometepe, which is as you know, a mountain, the volcanoes in the middle of a lake, and a small island in the middle of the lake. I wanted a wrapper that really was didn't bring too much. I wanted to focus in the flavor of that Ometepe. Sometimes I use Ometepe as just a way of balancing a blend, but that one, it was the star. So it's like a soloist, right? And the orchestra took light, and the soloist had the moment of shining, and so that also is a difficult thing, because then when you adjust the sizes, you need to take in consideration the ratio of the wrapper compared to that, and what the wrapper brings to that particular blend. It's not a broadleaf. It doesn't bring the same thing as the Mexico you saw, or Habano, or Ecuador, or a Connecticut Ecuador, or a Connecticut from USA. Completely different things. But I think your assumption is correct, because mostly these days we are selling bigger cigars. In United States. The market around, there's a group of store owners from Spain that we were yesterday at Plasencia, and then at night we were drinking and smoking cigars until very late in the night. And they don't conceive a 60 ring size, right? And when I was telling that it's the number 3rd size in popularity in the United States, after the Toro, which is the first one, and the Robusto, And it's interesting because the Toro was not even a Vitola from the Vitolario, Cuban Vitolario. It's something that started from Mexico, and a brand called Tamo. And Toro, they have the bull, so Toro is a bull, and they call that size, and have become the number 1 size in the United States these days. So yes, it's these days we're smoking in the United States bigger ring size cigars, and so it's easier to translate than start with a 50 to a 50 to a 60 than a 54 to a 60. Yeah. It makes
Historically, Rafael, do you think that the blends that people used to enjoy during the 90s, maybe even the early 2000s, were generously more leaning towards the qualities of the wrapper tobacco and more prominently featuring those specific tobaccos, because you would only play in that range of, let's say, 38, 40 for a Lancero to probably a 46, maybe a 48. And then in some very rare instances, when Robusto became a terminology, that used to be the big cigar, right? With a 50 ring gauge. Do you think that today the market relies more heavily on filler tobacco and creating uniqueness there with a lot of characterful Nicaraguan tobaccos rather than featuring particular types of wrapper?
Well, I think definitely the blends that we're smoking today have more complexity that we were smoking back in the 90s, and because of the strength. But in addition, the type of tobacco we're using, we have gone and done different new origins, using tobacco from Paraguay. There's no way in the 90s, no one knew that actually Paraguay produced tobacco, or Peru, or Colombia. And of course, they produce great coffee. Why wouldn't they produce tobacco, And we have a variety of Pelo de Oro that it was original from Cuba that has been grown there, or tobacco from Panama, a complete different thing. So I think right now, we have more varieties in order to have new flavors and new expressions. And I think that let's say, I mentioned the Gometepe, but let's just say the Paraguayan tobacco, which is very sweet, not very strong, but it has amazing sweetness. So if you wanted to have that sweetness on the cigar, that's why you like it. You don't want a cigar too much strongly Hero from Esteli that is strong and would not taste the sweetness, right? So why you put that sweetness? So you need other tobacco that is not, or you want a more a less a wrapper that doesn't bring a wrapper that doesn't bring too much flavor, too strong flavors. You don't want a visual wrapper, for example, or things like that. I have to say that I see some of the comments, but since I'm using the phone, I don't see all the questions. So I see part of the question. I only see part of the question. So if I cannot answer them because I don't see. Just see a little bit, so feel free to friend
I try to bring
ask
in as many as possible, Rafael, but
exactly.
I know that Macy had quite a few for you, and he had his hand up for a while. So I know he's been prepping his list.
Yeah. So yes, I think we are smoking, especially in the United States. I think in Europe the Cuban cigars are less strong than before, for a variety of reasons. We are in the United States smoking a little bit stronger cigars, and I think when you do those things, you look for different features in different tobaccos that are want to do that. So I think is the answer, if the question was in the 90s, what percentage of the flavors is the wrapper compared to the fillers? You don't have a true answer because there's based on opinion, but it's different than it was then and what is now. Absolutely.
Great point. Many, many thanks for that. Macy, over to you. The time has come.
Okay, gonna fly through it and let I had my questions. I need Rafael to start talking about Colombian tobacco and just derail me. That happens to be my dream. I actually own the trademark for Banco de la República in the United States. I want to start a lounge with the Colombia, and anyway, we'll get real quick though, since I haven't sidetracked. Can you talk a little bit about the genetics, the seed genetics of some of these new region strains, whether it's Paraguay, Colombia? I think you talked about some Pelo de Oro from Colombia, which is the first I've heard of. Are these all Habanesis type strains?
From Pelo de Oro from Peru. Pelo de Oro is from Peru.
That was Peru. So are you? Is it all pretty much Habano or Habanesis derivatives that you're seeing grown, or are they growing? I don't know, some San Andres or Sumatra or other criollos in these areas.
Yeah, so I'm not a geneticist, so I can assure you that. But there are different varieties. Some have, because of illnesses and because of the commercialization of the tobacco, you need a lot of quantities. There have been new varieties that are being developed in order to stand, right, those type of illnesses or changes, from the blue mold and many other things. So Cuba did an amazing job of developing the Criollo 98, the Habano 2000, and all of the others that have followed that are stronger or more resistant to those things. So it's not uncommon to have places like Mexico now developing varieties that uses that strength. Genetically speaking of the Habano seed, but even the Habano seeds are a combination of Honduran tobacco as well. That it was used in the development of that, and that was a seed grown in Honduras. So so most of those, but they are very unique seeds that are from those areas that have been grown for. Remember that when Christopher Columbus discovered Americas, tobacco was grown in all areas of the Americas, and then you have seeds from Connecticut that were later used, things like that are very unique. That are not they don't come from the Habanos families or Habanois. And we do find in Peru, for example, we find in Colombia, Panama, Paraguay, seeds that are being criollo from there. They are unique from there. The news is a Cubano. But then when we want to translate that to a commercialized quantity and things like that, it's not the same as growing, someone growing tobacco in the farm for their own use or for the local use than when you want to use in a blend that you make 4 million cigars a year of that blend. So then you have to take care of that, that you have every year. And then, if 1 year is more rain and the other rain. So there have been a lot of work done in that to maintain and to exceed new illnesses that are created every day, new viruses, new bacteria that are created every day, just like we saw with the COVID. It is a combination. It is a combination, but a lot of seeds don't come like the Mexican, what we call San Andres, maroon. Is a different seed. It's not Habano, but it's a great combination when you mix it with the Habano. Yeah, you have something new, and you add the capabilities of not having to deal or more resistant to those illnesses.
Okay, a couple more quick, and I'll be fast. This has been bothering me for my trips to factory. Not your brands. Some brands will, and I love the disclosures because I think even though things change, it has helped me figure out certain tastes that I like. And when I try new cigars, or maybe this wrapper might intrigue me, you still have to try it. Every size is different, but I do think it can be helpful in terms of kind of giving you general parameters on what might interest you or what might be to your palate's liking versus something that, maybe is just not a taste that you particularly personally enjoy. So I think for that, it's helpful. But like all information, you got to, I think it's like the ratings. People just want a quick answer. I'm a lawyer and people come like, give me the answer. And I'm like, well, everything depends on a million factors. I mean, they're sorry, but I can lie to you or I can, so there is no, just get over that. But so I'll read sometimes about manufacturers. They're saying, oh, this is, sixth priming on the wrapper or whatever, 7th priming. And I'm of the belief, and having visited several factories, including Tabacalera Garcia in La Romana, that there is no way anyone knows what priming from the field any leaf is by the time it's sorted, fermented, you may not even know that in the curing barn, quite frankly, but there is just no way in hell anyone knows what leaf position any leaf is by the time it's being bunched, let alone by the time it's being color sorted to put in the box or the bundles. So I guess isn't when we talk about tech or I guess classifications, especially in a finished product, aren't we really talking about texture? And I mean, and there's still, you can sort, but like this idea of, oh, this is a 6th priming leaf. And then I think by that time, all you can do is sort it and resort it, go to the texture and say, this is a ligero because it's thick and how we fermented it versus knowing what position it came from in the field. I guess, do you
Yes.
agree or do you have any thoughts?
No. Listen, I agree for the most part. You can still do a blend that you can maintain a specific prime based on how you fermented the tobacco together, and then you the sorting of that alone, and then let's say on that sorting you may have you're looking for a stronger, obviously stronger tobacco, and some are not as strong, so you get it out and you can just send that to make it sure. But that's not the way most of the factories do work, because the tobacco, when is sorted by how thick it is, and then it's a natural product, it's a natural plant, and sometimes the leaf here has some qualities that are not part of that normal prime cod. It's actually might be stronger, or even a stronger cod. It might be, for whatever reason, I don't know. It's why people are fat, tall, whatever. So something on the genetic of the plant, I don't know, that sometimes they just are not the same as what you expected from the prime, and then you mix it in the other. So the texture at the end, I like to say, I like to stay, instead of the prime, what I like to say is a higher primes, or viso, ligero, or seco. And regardless of where it came from, it has the quality of the seco, it has the look of the seco, and that's it. You use it as a seco. But then you have a big portion that can be from another part, but it's a seco. It just came as a seco. So I don't like to work with primes, Anita. I can say higher primes, because normally most of those came from higher primes. So some might be from a different part of the plant and they still have the texture of the higher cod. And so, yeah, I don't like to stick with so much specificity of this and that. I think it's not the way I will do it.
That was great. Just thank you. That was the best, most clear answer. La respuesta más clara que yo oí. So thank you.
Gracias. Oye, good Spanish. And by the way, Tabacalera Garcia, we just moved to the new factory. So I don't know when you visited, but we moved. As you know, our company, Tabacalera, was part of Imperial, which is a big cigarette and machine cigar, mass market cigar. In that factory, it had machine productions and premium production. When the company was sold to a group of investors, a new factory was built, and we just moved a year. It's going to be a year and a half, 2 years now, to a new to the factory next to it, where we only make premium cigar. It's a state of the art. It's new. It's amazing, and it's right next to the other, but just concentrated on premium cigars right now. So if you visit that, and one day you have, I will say, with respect to beautiful factories, there are a lot of beautiful factories and great factories. This is the newest one, and it's an amazing, not a factory, it's an amazing campus of different buildings that make now the new Tabacalera Garcia.
Well, they were putting up the decorations for the 50th anniversary. So
okay, so the 50th
so that must have been 2015.
That was the old one, which I went to I participated on this celebration of the new factory back on this, yeah. But no, it's so right now is that we move after that to the new factory.
Now remember all this. I'm like, what is Vega Fina? They're like, we sell 20 million of them a year in Europe. You've never, and I remember, amazing. I never heard of that brand until anyway, now we have them in the United States a little, but
I think definitely Europe is the brand most sold after Habanos after Habano cigars in Europe, worldwide actually. And in Spain is very famous. It started in Spain and then it has continued. In United States we sell it, but it's not as popular as it is in the rest of the world.
Macy, many thanks
Thank you.
for your questions. And Rafael, I want to be respectful of your time, obviously, and you've presented us with so much of it. But I wanted to briefly touch bases on two last points, and they're somewhat tied together. One, when you spoke about the consistency, you hit the absolute home run in 2019 when your aging room Cuatro Nicaragua Maestro was named Cigar of the Year with Cigar Aficionado. And because you mentioned consistency, I believe that is a tremendous challenge as well, as beautiful as it is, but suddenly the whole world comes screaming after your cigar and everybody scrambles to find that number one on the list. And we openly discussed this with Alan Rubin and his sons, even on the show.
Alan is very
Gonzalo
open about
Churchill
his
made the
problems.
number one for them. It was as much a burden as it was a blessing, and it put them under tremendous stress in terms of the production capabilities and the aftermaths of that. How has that reflected on your production, your vision of the brand, and the way you dealt with that tremendous accolade?
Well, listen, you mentioned Alan Robin, and he's very open about his mistakes of what, of the difficulties he had when the variations of the blends and the strength that it was put, the difficulties that were put on making the cigars. He's been very open, and I learned a lot about that and many others. We were lucky. We were lucky. I think, when you have a brand that got this type of ratings, it's like putting a spotlight. We were talking before about the rating. It's a subjective thing. People may, it's what this group of, in the case of Cigar Aficionado, the panel, they believe it is the best cigar at the time. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's everybody's best cigar, but it brings attention. It brings attention. Like when I go and buy wine, when I didn't know what it was, and I see these ratings, Wine Spectator, James Stockley, and I say, like, well, at least someone think that this is a good wine. Let me try it, just because I have zero reference. I may have like it or not later on, but at least I have some expert things that help you with that. And that's what I feel about that. However, when we got the number 2 back in 2013, which was with my first aging room Cuatro, it was a Cuatro F55 made in Dominican Republic, Tabacalera Palma, my partner and friend Jose Blanco. The number 1 that year was Montecristo. Is Montecristo number 2 from Cuba, and that and I learned a little bit because we took I stopped making that cigar, by the way, later, because no more tobacco, and I was blending specific blends. We don't make it anymore. Then I called F55 original, but pretty much has left the market. Then with aging room Cuatro Nicaragua, we were very lucky. As a matter of fact, we continue to sell today more cigars of aging room Cuatro Nicaragua that we sold when we got that. So the brand has been consistent. There are only very few brands, I believe. I don't want to mention brands, but only very few that have been able to continue do very well, because normally people spotlight, and then obviously there's another number 1 next year and things like that. But on aging room Cuatro Nicaragua, we were lucky because we had my partner AJ had an amazing amount of tobacco, which is amazing, the tobaccos that they have. And we had in that wrapper, which is very special, he had over $1.5 million of inventory of that wrapper. And we were extremely lucky, and we paid learning what everybody had gone through, even us before. We knew that a cigar, we decided to make more, but if the cigar was not as we had intended, we didn't put it out on the market. So the consistency on that cigar has continued to be. As a matter of fact, if it can be possible, that cigar has continued to get better. It's amazing. It's amazing because those tobaccos are aging longer now. Yeah, you're right. It's a blessing and a curse. And you just have to manage it, the expectations. And I remember the first day that was announced, at the time it was announced in December, at the end of December. We just didn't have inventory. We just didn't have a lot of inventory. And we didn't supply the inventory until April of that year. We're not ready. We just didn't put it out. Wow. Now, when you are running a business, it's very difficult because you want a product people want to buy, you need the money, you want to do it out, and things like that. We are extremely lucky that we're part of the time of Tabacalera USA. So we obviously more resources, and we didn't do it. We just didn't put it out if it was not ready. AJ was able to switch the production to most of the other cigar to this cigar. So we did it faster, but with those components that were ready. If not, it didn't go out. So I have learned from before. I question myself whether if I didn't have the financial support of such an important company, would I have done it? I'd like to believe that I have learned a lot not to do it. I'm just glad that was not posed with the question that I need the money, I need to do it. And I need to seize the opportunity. We decided, listen, this is a cigar, and we just not, because you need to see it, right? Not as the only moment, spotlight, but I think it's a step in your journey. And a very important moment. But I always like to say the best is yet to come, right? So, hey, it's going to come others, right? And I think that as a consistency, that cigar has been on the top 25 cigar aficionado for the last few years in different sizes, different years. Because I think we kept a tremendous amount of attention to the details.
Rafael, I think that speaks volumes to your philosophy and how you truly built your career, your business, and how you managed to build something that has meaning for a long time. And I think that's the foundation of generational success, much rather than just chasing the quick buck and the quick dollars. And I want to applaud you for that. It's fascinating to sit here and talk to you and to have a little sneak into the factory and to learn from your tremendous experience. It's beautiful, and I want to thank you for all the time that you have presented us with today and everything that you shared with us. It's greatly.
Thank you very much. As a part of the finish, I'm going to walk you through quickly to a couple of areas of the tobacco, just quickly, and we're going to end with that. I'm going to say goodbye. It's very noisy at the end. I'll say goodbye. But first, I want to thank you for the opportunity. I love to talk about what we do. I think this conversation with me is not just about me, it's about everybody that is involved in these things. Those people that you see rolling the cigar, the people that are in the farms growing the tobacco. There's so much attention that needs to go that. So when I'm here talking, it's not about me, it's about a craft, an art, a culture that is all involved. And at the end of the day, the most important people in all of these chains is you guys that are the consumer that enjoy that do that, and having that opportunity that you bring us together and bridge that gap is an important one. So with that in mind, I'm going to walk you fast to a couple of areas, because I think, you know, when we see the rolling area, it's an important aspect of it, obviously, but there's so much behind that goes in that. So I'm going to walk you now to, we already saw the sorting area. We're going to walk through that, but I'm going to tell you to where the pilones are. I'm going to take you to where the capa. There are different areas of pilones, one fillers and one wrappers, and that's where the magic happened, which is amazing. So you saw these. Now, before, this is where the tobacco, these are coming. So every single paca has the type of tobacco. This is Habano Ecuador. This is the year, the day that was packed, that put here. So it's important that every single one is kept. This is tobacco that's coming from Guayaquil. They're preparing here the pacas. That press, they press it. And then it goes to rest. And here. Hola, doña. Always very clean. They keep this very clean. Muy limpio, le digo, que siempre lo mantiene muy limpio. It's 2 floors. It's a lot of these things resting for years and years. And now we're going to go into where the pilones are of the wrapper. This is only wrapper. Before it goes to there, it's here on the pilone side. Hola, caballero. Estoy dando un pequeño, enseñándole aquí. Gracias, gracias. Buenas, buenas. So over here, they're changing the pilones from one to another. You see, they're moving it from one that is in the back. They're adding a little bit water. They prepare. Actually, no le están echando agua a esto. No le están humedeciendo. It's not being adding water. They're just changing the rotation. So they're taking it from here. To here. And in this particular one, they're not adding water because it doesn't need it. It doesn't need it. Here, the fermentation process is very slow because they're not adding water. It has a system of humidity on the ceiling, and it's this is very humid, but it depends what the humidity is outside. And some of these are resting now, not fermenting. It's just resting. The fermentation is very slow. Something like this. It will tell you that will be, they just make that one, so they will put in the date, the temperature when they taking it. ¿Qué tipo de tabaco es este? ¿De dónde? Ecuador. This is Habano Ecuador, the wrappers. ¿Por qué no está mojando?
Tiene humedad todavía, de falso, para que lo moje.
It has a lot of humidity, so they're not putting humidity now. So everything is based on the touch and the things, you know, it's a little bit. ¿Tienes alguno que lleve tiempo hecho para enseñarle la amarillo, no?
Ya curado, ya. Hay curado ya. Que esté listo ya.
I'm asking for one that has the history, that is not new. All of these are being put new. So a lot of work goes into this. Guys, I just want to say goodbye. I hope that this enlighten you a little bit more. At the end of the day, this is not only light up, but this is enlightening what we do. A lot of work, a lot of art, a lot of trials, and you know, trying new things. But at the end of the day, it's done to get the best cigar possible. Hope you enjoy this.
Rafael, it was
Honored,
wonderful
honored.
to have you with us. Thank you so much for the wonderful tour, and we wish you all the very, very best. Enjoy your trip, enjoy your stay. Send our regards to Abdel, and I hope to see you in just a couple of weeks, and we'll enjoy a great cigar together.
By the way, I couldn't bring Edel. He was in the Habano Festival. He just came, is returning tomorrow to Esteli. So that's why I couldn't bring it to the camera. But thank you very much, guy. Again, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for all of you guys for smoking our cigars. It doesn't matter what cigar you smoke. I hope you smoke AJ Room, but it doesn't matter what cigar you smoke. At the end of the day, enjoy what everybody is trying to do, which is the best cigar possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafael. All the best.
Check it
Cheers,
out.
everybody.
Bye,
Light 'em
bye.
up. Goodbye.
Curado ya.
Bye.
Wow.